Hi everyone, my name is Vinod Kumar. I'm from Amazon Web Services. In this webinar, we will be talking about why software vendors are choosing application streaming as an option to SaaSify their software products instead of rewriting their desktop applications using modern web technologies. Today, I'll introduce myself. We have two speakers today. My name is Vinod Kumar Narasimhan. I'm a principal product manager at Amazon Web Services. I lead product management for Amazon AppStream 2.0. And we also have Jeffrey Ammon, principal research analyst from Forrester Research, talking about the insights of a recent survey that was conducted by Forrester on behalf of AppStream about application streaming and its benefits. So in today's agenda, we will talk about a recent survey and study that was conducted by Forrester on behalf of Amazon Web Services to understand some of the traditional challenges that, modern IT challenges that desktop application vendors are facing, what options and tools they are seeking to modernize their web applications to the web-enabled software as a service era. We'll introduce you to Amazon AppStream 2.0, which is an AWS service that helps customers convert their desktop applications as web applications. And we'll also have finally some recommendations from Forrester for you to consider. We'll leave some time at the end for questions and answers. Now I'm going to hand this off to Jeffrey.
Thank you very much, Vinod. So at Forrester, one of the things that we do is we run an annual survey where we ask business and technical decision makers about the types of different technologies that they are using. In that survey, we see that enterprise public cloud adoption is growing, and it's growing fast. In fact, if we look at the response rates from 2016 to our latest survey in 2018, we see that in North America, intentions to adopt public cloud deployment models have grown from 33% to 65%. Europe is a little bit lower, but there it's grown even more aggressively from 14% to 56%. Net, organizations are moving to the public cloud, and they're moving to that cloud fast. We see this in a joint survey that we ran collectively with Amazon to ask a bunch of questions to independent software vendors about how they are taking their products and making them available to their customers, and the challenges that they face in doing that, especially when they have traditional desktop products or complex products that have to be installed on site. I love this quote from the survey and from the interviews that we did as part of that work. This is from the director of technology services at a financial services ISV. Every customer is saying we want a cloud version. No one is asking for on-premises installation anymore. Well, why is that the case? It's because of the data that we just shared. As organizations are moving their software strategies into the public cloud to take advantage of it, they want to take the software that they are buying from third parties into the cloud with them. That creates challenges for ISVs with traditional applications, especially those that are desktop based. In fact, when we surveyed ISVs about that, what they told us was very clearly that today, customers expect cloud-ready applications from them. In fact, more than 8 in 10 expect a SaaS version of the desktop applications that they might be using today, or the new ones that they would think about using. More than 8 out of 10 expect when it comes to online trials of commercial software that they are going to consider buying, that they should be able to access those trials online and use them. 8 in 10 also told them that they expect device flexibility without performance penalties. The reality is, for most users, they have the laptop that they've been issued, or they have the desktop PC that they've been issued, or the mobile devices that they have chosen to buy or maybe been given by the company that they work for. When they're evaluating software, they want to evaluate it without having to go through a long, drawn-out process of setting up the right hardware simply so they can see whether or not there's enough value there to think about a purchase. So why are these customers looking to move to the cloud and the public cloud? Well, in a big sense, it's because it's aligned with their business strategies, not simply because they think it's cool technology. When we asked why these customers are likely to want to go to the cloud, number one, 66%, it's to improve our ability to innovate. Also, right behind that, 63%, it's to improve our ability to quickly scale on demand. 58%, to improve the experience of our customers, to be able to give them the products that they want. 57%, to be able to build new software products in the cloud, and importantly, to migrate existing software products to the cloud. 51%, to accelerate our shift to a digital business model, including new ways to sell our software. 48%, to grow our customer base in market segments where we already do business. 45% to expand into new market segments or new geographies, including places where they may not have data centers when there is software that requires some sort of back-end infrastructure when a client expects a SaaS-based model. And 43% to improve our bottom line. So not necessarily about making more profit, but certainly about being able to meet the customers where they are and to do so quickly. Now, when we ask these ISVs what their response to that sort of driver, those drivers from their customers, it's no surprise that almost all of them, 19 out of 20 have reconfigured their desktop or software-based software to be cloud hosted. Doesn't mean they've done all of it and they're through this process, but they have at least started the process of making the software that they sell cloud ready. When we asked specifically what that meant, we saw that there's a net increase in the number of ISVs that are taking their software into a SaaS-based model. So in 2 years, 25% of them, almost 26%, expect to be in a SaaS-based model versus 22% today, a 17% increase. When we look at what they are de-investing in, deprioritizing, it's creating software that you install locally on an end user PC, going from 17% today down to 13.5% in the future, a 21% decrease over the next 2 years. Net, moving to the cloud is an inevitable part of these ISV strategies. Now, when we are asking these ISVs why they're refactoring their on-premises software products to cloud enable them, it's not just about the customer need, although that is important, meeting the customers where they are. It's also to take advantage of internal economies of scale and benefits. So I love these responses. 61%, more than 6 in 10 say, if we do this, it's going to be easier for us to centrally manage our applications and update them. I've seen this personally. When I used to sell software products before I became an analyst at Forrester, we found one of the gating factors for us was that our clients could not accept updates any more frequently than we were shipping them. So even though we would ship them once every 6 months, twice a year, if you can imagine that today, on average, our customers were 2 to 3 releases behind our most current release. That's not the case when you can update the applications automatically and have the clients pick up the updates because they don't have to install them themselves. That leads to business agility, and just under 6 in 10 felt that that was important for them when they were cloud enabling their software. The ability to scale more easily because you have more control over the hardware that is running these programs. To better meet customer demands at 55%, to meet client demands for a cloud-enabled version, basically meeting them where they want to be at 55%. All the way down to maintain the products more easily than they could with cloud, with traditional software solutions at 50%. Now, here's the problem. Getting cloud ready isn't necessarily very easy. In fact, it can be extremely hard. It's easier said than done. In speaking with and surveying these ISVs, what we found is that it's expensive because you have to manage long, risky, and expensive technology projects. In fact, making an existing monolithic application that you've built for the desktop or built to run on servers, cloud native, can be a multi-year process, especially if it's a large, extensive, complex application. The skills are very, very different. If you want to take advantage of containers or you want to take advantage of serverless technologies, you go cloud native, many of the developers don't necessarily know the patterns that are successful in those worlds. So they have to learn that as part of the transition process. Often these large software programs aren't completely constructed by the company that is selling them. They have external dependencies on third-party libraries or technology vendors. Now, if those three things from a technology, process, and skills perspective weren't hard enough, sometimes you really got to work to get the executives on board to say, we're going to spend a lot of time and a lot of money, and if we're lucky, we'll end up with something that basically works the way it does now, except it'll be completely different from a technology perspective. We see this and saw it very clearly in the survey that we ran. We saw that when it comes to restructuring code to make it ready for a software as a service type offering, only 5%, 1 out of 20 said they never take too long to make this happen. And over 50%, 21% and 33%, it always takes too long to do this, or most of the time it takes too long to make the change from existing technology to cloud native, ready to go as a software service. And that's not getting any easier, because when we look at the types of programs, the types of software that these ISVs are selling, the software is not getting any simpler. In fact, almost 80% said that over the last 2 years, their desktop applications have become more processor intensive. Many have also said that it's required a higher set of capabilities in terms of graphics processing capability and in terms of more powerful hardware. So this creates a real challenge, because you're trying to go to the cloud. It's going to take a long time to go to the cloud. The requirements are getting even more intensive. And the net result of that is that for far too many organizations, the sales teams have had issues where the need to do an on-premises install has stopped deals in their tracks. We see this when we ask the question, well, when you've set up a demo or a trial for a prospect, do you run into issues with respect to being able to do that? For example, the customer's hardware requirements don't match what the application needs. More than half of the respondents said, yeah, that's been an issue. And for almost a third of them, it's most of the time. For a quarter, that's always the case. Another issue, that the customer lacks the administrator rights or requires sysadmin approval. This is incredibly common because organizations want to lock down the desktops of the users from a security perspective. And yet, if those customers don't have the right to install new software, it creates a really challenging issue where they have to go get permission, and then they have to vet the software, make sure it's okay, and approve it and get it on. And that sometimes is something that customers just don't want to deal with. So over half of the respondents have said that this has been an issue. Also, a little bit more than half have said that the customer lacks enough space to install the software on the hardware that is needed. The net result is that for existing ISVs with traditional applications that are trying to go to the cloud, it's just way too easy to get stuck in a catch-22. The clients are making buying decisions based on hands-on experience, and we clearly see that in our research, that being able to see it, touch it, use it, judge how it creates value is extremely important to buying, especially if you're talking to developers. They need to get them installed in order to get that hands-on experience. These clients also want cloud solutions now. They're not willing to wait around 2 to 3 years to get them. And it's really difficult to give them the cloud native solutions they want without re-architecting existing applications to make them cloud native. But that's not fast and it's not cheap. So when you're stuck in this position, and we find that many ISVs are, there's got to be a way to get out of that catch-22, and there are what I would consider to be some out-of-the-box solutions when it comes to figuring out how to move forward, take advantage of the cloud, but not have to wait 2 to 3 years and engage in a risky modernization program in order to do that. One of those is to use streaming technology to get the cloud-enabled solution out there fast without necessarily requiring a long lead time and expensive re-architecture. So at this point, I'd actually like to pass things back to Vinod to talk about what exactly app streaming is.
Thanks, Jeffrey. As you saw, Jeffrey clearly laid out the problems that software vendors are facing, the demands and pressures from their customers who want the existing applications to meet the modern IT trends and needs of their corporate users or employees or contractors, and the incentives for software vendors to consider alternative options to rewriting their products from scratch. And one such option, as Jeffrey explained, is Amazon AppStream 2.0. Amazon AppStream 2.0 is a fully managed application streaming service that allows customers to bring their existing desktop applications as is, run it in cloud, and let AppStream take care of delivering them as web applications to any end user device. Your applications are running on dedicated virtual machines in AWS. AppStream gives you a variety of hardware configurations, allowing you to pick the best virtual machine configuration that suits the application requirements. The import process is fairly simple. All you do is bring your application, install it on a virtual machine provided by AppStream, and build an AppStream environment. AppStream will capture the applications that are running on dedicated virtual machines and send them over the network as encrypted pixels. Your users who traditionally used your applications by first downloading and installing them on their local machine will simply open a web browser and access your applications by visiting to a website, just like they're consuming any other website. There are 3 different use cases that AppStream solves for independent software vendors. And one is the online trial, an ability for a trial visitor coming to your website to trial your software easily, or for a sales associate or a sales engineer, pre-sales engineer to demonstrate your application to a customer. And Jeffrey laid out some of the challenges that are faced by the sales staff, that they even lose deals due to the inability to seamlessly set up demos for the customers to use your latest versions of the product, or for end users to train on latest functionalities of your product. So what customers want is to provide instant software trials and training on demand for users who may be located anywhere in the globe without any expectations on a specific hardware, a specific kind of a laptop. All they need is a good internet connectivity and any device that has a modern HTML5 browser. And here are some of the most popular names that are already using AppStream for solving this use case. SolidWorks, a very popular application vendor who develops computer-aided design and computer-aided CAD/CAM applications, and their applications are used in various industries like manufacturing, engineering, design, shipbuilding, agriculture, etc. They're using AppStream to allow users visiting their website to instantly trial their software. Earlier, they have to let the users download the application, which is a pretty big application, and wait for it to complete, ensure that they have the right quality hardware to try the software, ensure that they have the right data sets to try the software. And this leads to lots of frictions before the user trying your software and buying your software. MathWorks is using AppStream to deliver training workshops. MathWorks, if you're not familiar, is the software vendor who produces MATLAB, engineering simulation software that's pretty much used by scientists and students and professors in various industries throughout the world to do engineering design, simulation, statistical analysis, etc. And one of the biggest challenges they face was when they do roadshows, they do end user conferences to educate their customers on newer versions of the software, newer functionalities of the software. And oftentimes they have to have their IT staff go several days ahead to the desired location and set up pre-configured bulky workstations. And you can imagine how much of an operational overhead and a heavy lifting it is for the IT staff to support such roadshows or sales conferences. Now, by using AppStream, MathWorks simply sends a website link, a URL to the workshop participants, and the workshop participant can access and participate in a training workshop wherever they are. They doesn't have to be in the roadshow or in the desired location. They could be sitting thousands of miles across on Southeast Asia and still participate in a training workshop conducted by MathWorks in the US. Aviva is using AppStream to provide their end users a training platform. Let's say you're a customer who has migrated to the latest version of Aviva. You want to educate your employees on how to use some of the latest functionalities. So Aviva provides a nice training portal where you can go use various examples and work on those examples using the latest version of Aviva application without even having to download or install the Aviva software on your local machine. The next step for ISVs is not just rely on AppStream for providing trials or training, but move all the way to completely SaaSify their products. Take their existing desktop application and completely convert them into web-enabled software as a service, but doing that without having to rewrite their applications using modern web technologies. As Jeffrey mentioned, it's often a multi-year effort that takes the resources away from adding core business value to the product. And here are some of the ISVs who have already migrated their existing applications to AppStream. Multiview is a financial services ISV who has converted their accounting software to a web-based software subscription using AppStream. They are adding new customers only to the AppStream-based solution. They're also migrating their existing customers who are to AppStream-based solution. Blade Technology produces shipbuilding software. Their software is used by CAD/CAM engineers in the shipbuilding industry. And it's a very powerful application which requires extensive memory and GPU needs. And this has always been a challenge for them, ensuring that their customers have the right hardware on which their applications can run seamlessly without any latencies, without any performance problems. And by moving to AppStream, they eliminated that expectation, that constraint for their end users. Their end users are building some highly complex CAD/CAM models using just Chromebooks. BizDesign is another customer who basically converted their business process management software. They have customers who are distributed throughout the globe and shipping software quickly, entering new market segments in a new geography where they don't have the sales staff to enable them to sell the software effectively has always been the challenges that BizDesign faced. Now, by moving to a web delivery model, they're able to reach new industry segments. They're able to deliver and ship their latest versions of the products, bug fixes, or performance improvements instantly to any user without having to worry about where they're distributed and what capabilities they have. And so is Gerber Technology, who is SaaSifying AppStream for a fashion design product. So there are ISVs who are taking that step right now, but there are also some ISVs who want to enable their enterprise customers to get started. While ISVs figure out the strategy for SaaSifying their products, enterprise customers have already started cloud journey and are accelerating the data center migration or on-prem migration to public cloud provider like AWS at a much faster pace. And these customers want to run the client applications from cloud as well. As some of might be familiar, many customers have already migrated their data or server backend to AWS. However, the client applications, the desktop applications which are talking to the databases or the data or accessing the data are still installed on end user local devices. And what it results is latencies. Many customers do not have the kind of internet connectivity or bandwidth necessary for transporting large volumes of data over network for applications like SolidWorks or ArcGIS Pro or MATLAB, which sometimes end users use gigabytes of data to access. And so what the enterprises want to do is move these client applications closer to the data in AWS so that the clients and applications are sitting right next to each other, eliminating all sorts of data latency issues and also securing their applications in cloud without having to worry about the modern IT vulnerabilities or security challenges to which the applications or their data is exposed to if they are installed in end user local devices. And what the independent software vendors who are producing this software want to do is they want to produce license mobility. They want to enable the enterprises to run the applications on cloud with confidence without any ambiguities. And some of the actions they're taking is to update their end user license agreements to allow customers to run their applications on cloud, to allow customers to use their existing licenses. Many customers usually buy sign up multi-year contracts, and when they are in the middle of that contract, there arises question as to whether they can use their existing licenses on cloud. And ISVs are making those changes to support that, and also giving some guidance on how customers can move their applications to AppStream. And here are some of the customers who are doing that for their enterprise customers. This includes some popular names like SolidWorks, Siemens, Autodesk, ArcGIS Pro, which is a popular GIS software produced by Esri. We have also published 2 full-fledged case studies that talks about how SolidWorks what are the challenges SolidWorks faced in delivering trials to their users, in delivering training to their users, and what is their journey to moving to AppStream, and what are the benefits they have realized by delivering instant online trials using AppStream. And we also have another case study that talks about how Multiview went from a on-prem world to full SaaSification that is delivered through web using AppStream, and what are the benefits they realized, and what are the cost savings they realized, and what are the operational efficiencies they realized in doing so. Now, at this point, I'm going to hand it off to Jeffrey to give you some concluding thoughts.
Thanks, Vinod. You know, when I think about app streaming, this quote really hits me hard because it reminds me of a situation that I was in before I became a Forrester analyst. The company that I worked at was trying to modernize its flagship product and take it to the cloud. And we spent years and honestly probably hundreds of millions of dollars trying to do that. And our inability to take that product and modernize it broke the company. And if I had had a solution like this, or we had something like this at that point in time, I kind of have to wonder if something might have been a little bit different. And maybe it would be easier today with elastic instances or containers, but I still think that a lot of the complexity that exists in going from on-premise to cloud native is there regardless of the advance of technology. So I think that that's one of the reasons that when we survey the folks that we looked at or that we talked to the folks in this survey, there was a lot of interest in the kinds of capabilities that an application streaming approach has when it comes to making existing products cloud ready. When we described this sort of capability and asked whether or not it would be something that would be interesting or that they would be likely to use, almost 9 in 10 respondents said that they would be definitely interested or probably interested in trying an application streaming approach for existing demos, training, or moving toward a full-blown SaaS expansion of their existing products. And when we specifically asked about SaaS enabling their products using an application streaming approach, likewise, we saw that almost 9 in 10 respondents would be interested in trying it, with 47% saying definitely, almost half, and another 40% saying that they would probably be interested. So when we specifically asked the survey participants about the benefits that they thought that they might get, we found the following. Almost half said that they thought that application streaming could improve the experience of their customers. 43% said that they would expect that they would be able to improve business agility. 43% said that they expected that it would be easier for them to scale quickly. 41% said that they would be able to better meet end user demands, and 40% said that they would expect to have a more responsive user experience. And when you go back to the reasons that folks were interested in moving to the cloud earlier in today's presentation, you see that these expected benefits very closely match the reasons, the motivations for going to the cloud in the first place. So I'd like to offer a few recommendations, and thank you for attending today's webinar. First of all, when you are looking at making your own products cloud ready and are kind of looking at that catch-22, be prepared to think out of the box a little bit and realize that a streaming approach could represent an alternative or even parallel course to cloud enabling your existing applications. When you think about where application streaming could help, make sure that you consider the scenarios that are right at your fingertips. Demonstrations, training, entry-level products, as well as full-scale production and SaaS enablement of those products. Also, consider that streaming scenarios might allow you to introduce new ways of charging customers for your products, consumption-based usage as opposed to perpetual licenses with annual support models. As you saw from some of the examples that Vinod talked about, these are programs that have high demands, that take advantage of GPUs, that use memory, that have specific hardware requirements. And yet even in those cases, streaming proved to be a valuable approach. So it may be something that will help you reduce sales friction if you have a fairly demanding traditional application today with high requirements. And then finally, the efforts to evaluate this as an alternative approach are pretty low. So there's not a lot of risk in exploring it and see if it might be your way out of the catch-22 of getting cloud ready. If you're interested in finding out more, Amazon's made the full survey results that we talked about today available as part of a thought leadership piece, and that's available on Amazon's website. So with that, I'd like to thank you. Vinod, thank you very much for having me here today.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Hope you all are benefited by listening to Jeffrey and myself. The results of the study we conducted is clear. There are clear challenges that the desktop application vendors are facing, and there are some good alternatives like application streamings for you to consider to modernize your software applications. So hopefully you have an option to consider and evaluate further. Thank you so much.